I see it time and time again where women want to have a big impact. They want to have a fulfilling and a rewarding career. But when I ask them what it is they want, what is their focus, they don't know. They've never thought of themselves as having a personal value proposition. And the result is they may be great at their job, but there is nothing that makes them remarkable. There is nothing that makes them stand out. And more often than not, they are trying to do too many things, spreading themselves too thin, and they are missing out on the opportunity to have that bigger impact and to tap into more opportunities and more reward. And so the advice I give everyone is know what your focus is. Simplify your focus so that you can amplify your results. And that is the key to having a really remarkable and successful career. Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Whether you're a woman aiming to become a confident, impactful leader, or you're a leader committed to promoting gender equity in the property and construction industry, this podcast is designed specifically for you. Join me every week to gain insights and inspiration that will leave you excited and confident about taking your next steps. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's dive into today's topic. There is one question that I ask all my clients, and that is, what is it you want to be known for? Most people can't answer. Most people have never stopped to really consider what is it that they are great at? What is it that they do better than other people? What value do they bring to an organisation or to a situation that really sets them apart from everyone else? And today I want to explore this with you because I think that having a clear, simple focus is the key to creating bigger results, to creating a really remarkable career and having a bigger impact through your work and in the industry. But we are not taught how to do this. And we need more women to have that bigger impact, to have successful careers, juggling all the things within the property and construction industry so that we can increase and maintain women's participation within the property and construction sectors. But this question of what is it you want to be known for, it can be really confronting because we've never been taught to think this way. When you think about going through school, going through university or education systems, we are generally taught that there is a right and there is a wrong. We are not taught to value our uniqueness or our individual perspectives. We are taught to fit into the mainstream, to meet the norms of society. And as such, when we finish school, when we finish studying, we step into the world with a profession in mind and a general idea of what that involves. We enter the workforce trying to tick all of those boxes, trying to learn those skills and develop the experience to fit against each of those job criteria. And that's good. That gets us the job, that shows we are capable, and it builds that baseline skill set and knowledge that we need in order to excel in our profession. And that's true if you're a carpenter, if you're an electrician, if you're a quantity surveyor or a construction manager or anything in between. But we also need to know what is the focus for ourselves and for our career. What is the thing that we want to be known for? And this is particularly important once you get through those sort of first 5 or 10 years in your career and where you are really starting to step into bigger roles, because just being good at your job will not open doors. When we decide on purpose, intentionally, what it is we want to be known for, what our focus is, then we can direct our energy to that and we can stand apart from the crowd. We can really distinguish ourselves in a niche space. And that is where people get recognized. That is where opportunities present themselves. But 99% of people will never do that. They will never get crystal clear on what it is they want to achieve in order to really create remarkable results. But I know that in order to have any chance of creating something remarkable, in order to have that impact and that career and that influence beyond the average Joe, you need to simplify your focus so that you can amplify your results. And our brain resists doing this. Right? Our brain is automatically wired to do one of 3 things: to avoid pain, to seek pleasure, or to conserve energy. Choosing a focus requires us to step out on a limb. It requires us to not just tick the boxes of our job, but to specialize in something, to step away from the herd and take some risks in order to become great at something, in order to really make our mark. Our brain resists doing that, right? It feels uncomfortable. It requires fear of failure and embarrassment. And often those fears set in and they cripple us from actually taking the action we know will make all the difference in our careers and in our work. And our minds get caught up in the fact that we don't have evidence for being good at this one thing yet. And so we avoid taking the action. We avoid doing the work in order to get good at the thing. But the clincher is that until we go all in, we remain open to everything. And that means that we are easily distracted, right? We get sidetracked from what is really important because we are trying to do all the things. We spread ourselves too thin. We get overworked and often dragged down by busy work rather than the important things. Because when we say yes to everything, we don't have that time or that energy to go all in on the things that really matter and that will really move the needle forward. And if we want to create big results, if we want to go beyond being mediocre or average, we need to go all in. We need to simplify our focus so we can amplify our results. This might sound really scary to you. You might resist putting all your eggs in one basket or be concerned about what other people will think. Or have FOMO, that fear of missing out. That having laser focus is essential no matter what you are trying to do. Because once you know what is important, once you know what you are trying to achieve, once you know what you want to be known for, that allows you to create your own personal value proposition, unlike anyone else in the market. And that drives your own personal mission and it guides everything. It becomes your North Star. And, I want you to think of this. If you think about, say, a project manager who is a good all-rounder, when someone talks about that person, they say exactly that, right? They're good at their job. They tick all the boxes. They can be relied on. They are diligent. They are capable. But if you think about a project manager who has exceptional interpersonal and stakeholder relationship skills, what someone says about them is different. They say, yeah, they're a great project manager, but the best thing about them is you can put them in a room with anyone and they will manage that situation and they will create a positive outcome, irrespective of any tensions or conflicts that may be in the room. They are really great at managing those difficult situations and those difficult big personalities and getting people on board to create the results we need. In both cases, we're talking about a great project manager. They can both tick all the boxes, but in one case, we have someone who has something that is standout. They have an exceptional skill about being able to manage and work with other people. That allows them to stand out. That allows them to shine. And you want to be known for something, otherwise you will just blend into the crowd. We are halfway through the year, and it's the perfect time for a progress check. Are you on track with your goals, or do you feel like you're slipping behind? The good news is, there is still time to achieve your goals if you start now. To help you get there, I've created a mid-year check-in guide. This guide will help you clarify your progress, identify what's holding you back, and get you unstuck and laser focused. With it, you can move forward to create the results you want, so you can have that more fulfilling and rewarding career and life. Head on over to RebeccaBangura.com or find the link in the show notes to get your copy and start moving forward today. And I appreciate this requires you to go above and beyond just doing your job. This requires you to get intentional and focused on who you are and building your skill set and your brand so that you become a go-to person. You become known in the industry rather than just blending in, rather than just fitting in. It's confronting, right? You are often out on your limb. You are more vulnerable because as you build those skills that align with simplifying your focus, you are also making trade-offs. But that is true of everything in life, right? There is always an opportunity cost. If you want to simplify your focus and be great at something, then it requires you to say no to things that don't align. That is the cost of being great. You have to go all in. And it's about working through being bad at something until you get good at it. And then eventually until you get great at it. But the more you simplify your focus, the more you hone in, the quicker you will create results. And this is about playing high stakes. You have to make those trade-offs in order to create something great. I want you to start by getting clear on what it is you want. I want you to get clear on the thing that will move the needle for you. And then once you have that, once you know what you are working towards, then you need to get planning. How will you make it happen? Think about, what are you saying yes to? What are the things you have to do in order to make your mark? And then what are the things you are saying no to? And create these as parameters, as rules for yourself that guide every decision you make. And then you need to step into massive action. You have to take total responsibility for creating the results you want and keep doing the work. Show up every day and take action that is aligned with your focus. And finally, you need to keep reflecting. You need to keep asking yourself, what worked? What didn't? What would I do differently? Apply them to the next day's actions so that you are constantly improving and growing and becoming more laser focused and taking the right actions that will push you ahead to create the results you want. This is a simple process, but it is not easy. I can think of a couple of clients who have really come to me with this challenge. I have one of my clients, Annie, who frankly came to me overworked and overwhelmed, right? She had a great job, a big role, a big title, but she was absolutely drowning and it was impacting her health, it was impacting her family life, and it had completely stripped the fulfillment out of her work. And so together we went through this process. We got really crystal clear on where she could add value, and that became her focus. We really looked at her role. We looked at what she can do, what her strengths are, and where she can add the most value. And through this process, she gained the insights and we set up systems that allowed her to focus on what mattered. And for Annie, that meant we had to really look at delegation, right? What are the things other people can do? It meant saying no to things. So instead of always being the people pleaser and being the go-to for everything, it meant stepping back and being much clearer around what was within her remit and what sat outside of it. And, I think often one of the challenges we have, particularly as women, is we think because we can do something that we should. And we need to stop ourselves from falling in that trap, because all that happens is we take on more and more and we lose the focus about what will move the needle for us and in our role and for our teams. With Annie, we also looked at how do we implement boundaries, right? And how do we realign working relationships to be mutually beneficial and respectful, and that allowed her to show up and focus on what was important to her and within her role. Once we got through this process, once we untangled what was happening and set in place systems to change her behaviours and to align the people around her, she was able to have that work-life balance again and reclaim her health and her sanity. Her team's performance jumped and her recognition also skyrocketed because people were now really clear on what value she brought compared to being a jack of all trades. Once she got focused on what was important, she was able to really push ahead and create results in that area. And there was such a beneficial byproduct of that, which involved her well-being, her health, her relationships with her family, and brought her joy back to her work, as well as more recognition and more opportunities to progress. I had another client who was really struggling with what was next in her career. I do see this quite a bit where people are drifting through, right? We're waiting for the next opportunity to land on our doorsteps rather than having a clear focus. This is often where we see this feeling of untapped potential and that longing for more. If that's you, I really encourage you to get clear on what it is you want. Because without that North Star, you are simply responding to other people's agendas instead of driving action forward. So get clear on what is that next move for you. And I know it can be daunting. A lot of us get stuck in, what if this isn't the right decision? What if I'm focused on the wrong thing or my North Star is wrong? And I want to reiterate this point that it kind of doesn't matter. When it comes to our careers and our work, there are very few right and wrong decisions. There are just different paths. And, your North Star will change over time, and it's supposed to. Nothing has gone wrong. But what we want is just to have that clarity, to have that focus, to know where you're going. Because once you have that clear focus, your whole trajectory shifts, right? You aim higher, you go further than you would have. That is what makes extraordinary and impactful careers. And so by picking your focus, that doesn't need to be your focus forever. These things are not written in stone, but they are the guide, and they are what will move you forward right now and help you create better, bigger results sooner. And we need more women like you to step up in our industry and to really lead the change and be role models for what is possible for women within the industry, and to help drive that cultural and systemic change that will improve not only women's experience within property and construction, but also help drive innovation and positively shift the nature of the industry. So get clear on what you want. Simplify your focus so that you can amplify your results. Okay, so I want you to go away. I want you to think about what is your focus. And once you have that focus, hone in on it. Go all in so that you can create those big, impactful results. Okay, my friend, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Building Up Women in Property. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, I'd love for you to take a moment and review the show if you found it helpful, or share it with a few friends. Thanks again, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.